In this episode, I'm going to marinate some pretend chicken, and then it's going to go on skewers. It's going to be baked in the oven, and it's going to go with some satay sauce. So what's going to go in the marinade? And I'm going to marinate this overnight. So I am going to put some toasted sesame oil, about 3 tablespoons of that. I am going to put 2 teaspoons of this lemongrass in it. It's already pre-chopped, the good bits in there. I'm going to put 3 large garlic cloves, a bunch of spring onions. Now, the original recipe said about a different kind of onion, but the research tells me that there are the lowest amount of carbs in a bunch of spring onions. So that is what I'm going to use. And so I am going to put some ground turmeric in there, about 2 teaspoons of that, 1 teaspoon of hot chili powder, 2 teaspoons of garam masala, and I'm going to put some salt in, just a few twists of grounded salt. And then I'm going to put about 3 tablespoons of the Maple Grove sugar-free syrup as well. And I've decided I'm also going to add some liquid smoke, about 1 to 2 tablespoons of that, and a little shake of some chili flakes to get it some real good heat. I've put all of that in a blender. I'm going to give it a whiz, get it really smooth. Now, if it doesn't get liquidy enough, if there is such a word, I will add either a bit more oil, a bit more liquid smoke, a bit more maple syrup, or some water, but I'll give it a tiny bit of a taste first. I've blended that, just put it on full blast, whizzed it around for a little while, then turned it and whizzed it a bit more. Looks really smooth. It smells amazing. And do you know what smells the best? It's the liquid smoke. I am going to put it in a plastic pot, which has a lid to go with it. And I am going to get the pretend chicken. Now, the pretend chicken that I'm going to use, I'm going to combine 2. Whether I'm going to be able to tell which is which when we serve it and when I eat it, I'm not sure. I think I will. So I'm going to use the Richmond meat-free char-grilled chicken, well, no chicken char-grilled pieces. They, at the moment, look like that. And I'm also going to use the vegetarian butcher What the Cluck. And these are soy-based chicken soya chunks. They look like that. Now, I've had mixed reviews on these. Sometimes I prefer the Richmond. Sometimes I prefer What the Cluck. Let's see. Now, if I was really organised, I would be doing them separately. And I guess I could, but I'm not going to. So that looks tasty, doesn't it? That is the pretend chicken in the marinade sauce. It's a really thick sauce. I did think it's going to be a bit more liquidy, but that's okay. I'm going to leave it in the fridge overnight. I'm going to put the lid on it. There is the chicken marinading in that really rich, thick, creamy sauce. Looks very messy at the moment. That's okay. Tomorrow, lunchtime-ish, I will put them on skewers. I will then bake them in the oven. You could grill them, but I'm going to bake them to keep the juices in the dish, turning them a few times. I'm going to make a satay sauce tomorrow, and we will dip those in the satay sauce and let you know how they taste. The skewers have been marinating for nearly a day, actually. I didn't get round to doing it earlier. So I've put them on the skewers, as you can see, about 3 pieces on each. And what I found was that the Richmond char-grilled no chicken pieces were much easier. They are bigger. Let me see if I can find them there. So you can see they are bigger pieces and easier to put on skewers. So what I've actually got here left over are some bits and the marinade that I'm actually just going to put on top. Don't like to waste anything. And then also this marinade with these little pieces, which were the What the Cluck, will just go in and they will cook too. Okay, so I've put the extra pieces that I couldn't put on a skewer on top, and believe it or not, I have preheated my oven to 160 degrees. So those are going to go into the oven now, whilst I'm going to make the satay to go with it. I'm now going to make the satay. I love satay, and I've got to be really disciplined that I don't just tuck into it for the rest of the day. What's going in this satay is rather complicated, says my daughter. She came round yesterday. She said, "Are those all the ingredients for your satay?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "Goodness me, you make it complicated. I made a satay the other day," she said. I said, "What did you put in it?" She said, "Peanut butter, chili flakes, and some milk." I was like, "What, not coconut milk?" She said, "No, just normal milk." She keeps it simple. Now you can make your satay any way that you want. Look up some recipes, but I make satay a lot, and this is my kind of go-to list of ingredients. So I'm going to start with putting in all the ingredients. And with this satay sauce, do not let it overheat. Don't let it simmer, because the peanut butter will cook it and make it go too thick. So I'm going to use 500 ml of coconut cream. I'm using Sainsbury's coconut cream in the carton, as I've said in other episodes. I much prefer this one, it's really thick. So the coconut cream is in there. I'm going to turn on the heat really low so it starts warming. I'm going to add sesame oil. How much? Just a few glugs, about that much. So that, I guess, would be about a tablespoon of sesame oil. I'm going to put in some liquid smoke. There will be a link to liquid smoke underneath. So 2 good squeezes. Actually, I'm going to put 3 squeezes in. You need to shake it before you use it. I'm going to stir that up a little bit. The peanut butter that you use, make sure you check the carb counts on it. This peanut butter I didn't check, and the carb count is really high. It's just a cheap brand. Putting 1 massive tablespoon in, 2, I think I'm going to put 3 very heaped tablespoons in. So you can see the size of the tablespoon. So I've loaded up, those of you who aren't watching, I've loaded up the tablespoon with a big old dollop of peanut butter. Give that a bit of a stir. No need to worry about stirring it too much at this point. I'm now going to add some spices. So I am measuring these out. Cayenne pepper is pretty hot, isn't it? So I'm going to use a 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. I know, aren't you impressed? I'm actually measuring things out rather than just chucking it in, which is my trademark, isn't it really? A 1/4 teaspoon of chili powder. I do like it to be a little bit hot, but not overly so. I'm going to put in, I love smoked paprika. I'm going to put in 1 teaspoon, 2 teaspoons of smoked paprika. I am going to stir that through a little bit. It's not heating much at all yet, but that's absolutely fine. We've got plenty of time. I am now going to put in some tamarind paste. I'm going to put in a teaspoon of tamarind. I'm going to add a tablespoon of the Truvia for baking caster. Some dark soy sauce. I think I'm going to add 1 teaspoon. This can be pretty overpowering, can't it? So add, I'm going to say 1, 2, yes, 3 teaspoons of dark soy. And I'm going to add some rice vinegar. So this will counteract the sugar, the sweetness. So I'm going to add 3 teaspoons of rice vinegar as well. Oh, that was a rather generous one, wasn't it? And then I'm going to add garlic paste. I am going to add, this is really strong garlic paste. I'm going to add, I'm now using a clean teaspoon thing, and this is a half. So I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of garlic paste. So that's 4 of these. Yeah, I'm going to add some lemon juice, squeezed half a lemon. And I'm going to add some chili. Now, the amount of chili that I'm going to add is ridiculous. It's because I'm not going to do any more cooking that needs chili for a little while. And I thought I might as well use it all. Now it's the red chilies that are not that hot. They've got 2 heat things rather than, I think the hottest you can get is 5. So I'm actually going to put all of that in. And now I'm going to start stirring that through. I'm going to raise the heat a little bit. And if you find it starts to go too thick, you can add water. Stir it through whilst it's gently heating. Combine all the ingredients, make sure the peanut butter is completely melted. So whilst that is melting, heating gently, get your skewers out, turn them, check them, cover them with foil if you think they need it. So there's the skewers. I'm just going to turn those and then put them back in. I can hear that they're sizzling. I'm not sure if you can hear that. You don't need to be too precious. Well, you might want to be a little bit more careful than I am being, but it's entirely up to you. Put those back in the oven. Now this satay, obviously, I'm not going to use it all with those skewers, and you can freeze it. I freeze just about everything. The peanut butter has now melted and is smooth, no big lumps of peanut butter in there anymore. I'm just going to taste check it to see what I need to add. That's actually, I think I put in too much vinegar. Yeah, it is actually really tangy, it's pretty hot, I quite like it. It's very thin at the moment, so I'm going to let it heat more. It's not very hot yet, and I want it a bit thicker. But it's really important that when you get it to the thickness that you want, you take it off the heat completely. And then what you can do, you can just reheat this, put it in a plastic tub, keep it in the fridge. It should last a good amount of time, a week, and then just reheat bits when you want it. Or you could eat it cold. So taste testing this, it is really hot, it's got a real kick to it. As you saw, I put in loads of chilli. I perhaps would only put in a fraction of that amount next time. I'll put in less vinegar, so maybe 1 teaspoon of the rice vinegar. But other than that, it's all pretty good. If you want it thicker, if you find that it's nearly at simmering and it's still really thin and runny, then you can let it simmer just to thicken it up. If you don't want to do that, you can just add some more peanut butter because that will thicken it up as well. This is now simmering and it's actually just getting to the thickness that I want. So I've turned the heat off. And there we have it, satay sauce and chicken marinated skewers. The marinade, I really liked that actually. It's a different one than I did before, but that was really good. So have a go, enjoy.